Okay.
Okay, so here we have an electro fishing boat. This is actually a DNR boat that is in use regularly. We brought it here for the Fisharama to kind of showcase one of the ways that we sample fish out in Georgia reservoirs and rivers. So this particular boat's mainly used on rivers, but it's basically a setup where you can see over here you got the electro fishing unit, and it puts electricity into the water through these booms over here. And then the way it works is out in the field you have somebody driving the boat, operating this pedal. There's a foot pedal, and when that pedal is down and the generator's on and the shock box is on, then that electricity is getting put into the water. You also have one or two people at the front of the boat with these big long nets here, and their job is to basically net the fish as the electricity is producing a field in the water there. And so what happens is the fish are kind of temporarily stunned, and then they start to kind of slowly surface, and we try to net all the sport fish that we possibly can. Then once we've done what we call a transect, so a transect is just like a certain distance that we go in the water, or a certain amount of time, or I think, you know, it can be based on the seconds on the shock box, that seconds of shocking. And then once the transect is over, we stop and we take all the fish that are in this live well right here, and we bring them out, and we weigh and measure and identify each and every one of them. All that data is recorded, and it's taken back and it's analyzed to kind of study and learn more about the population of fish that live in that reservoir river, and also the size structure of the species that are there. And it kind of helps us to gauge whether we need to change, like maybe harvest restrictions, harvest regulations, any kind of fishing regulations, bag limits, length limits, and also helps us to decide, like, maybe we need to stock and supplement the population. So it gives us a lot of really helpful information so that we can better manage the fish populations, keep them healthy for the anglers and for the habitat and the resource there. Keep it.
So if y'all find like sick fish, what do you do with them? Like if you find a fish that has like parasites or something like that on like the gills?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if we do find anything like that, or anything that's kind of off, doesn't look right, we definitely take a lot of pictures. Sometimes we'll even take the specimen back, and we work really closely with a lot of universities in Georgia, GA. We're working a lot with Middle Georgia State University specifically on fish parasites right now. So they are taking our specimens, and they're using their expertise, and students are doing research on those fish and then reporting those results back to us. So that's also actively being monitored. So our biologists and technicians that are out there on the boat know what to look for, and they'll see it when they're identifying and weighing and measuring the fish. So it's another good opportunity to look at the fish health, like you're saying, the condition of each of the fish as well.
All right, and if you come across an illegal species, like Asian carp.
Yeah, we definitely, that's not, we would definitely not put that back into the water like we would the rest of the fish. We would definitely hold on to that. We actually have a coordinator, an aquatic nuisance species coordinator with Georgia DNR, and if it's a nuisance species that, you know, that it's there, it's not supposed to be there, we definitely let him know, and he'll come out and study and try to figure out is it just the one, or are there more, and they'll set up a whole plan, a management plan, to make sure that there's not more, and if there are, what strategies are we going to use to correct that.
Okay. Have you ever noticed that you said this was a river boat?
This is the river electro fishing boat.
Okay, so I know most tournaments are on lakes, but have you ever seen like any effects of tournament fishing on like bass populations, for instance, and the way the bass like interact, or if you've seen like a smaller sized fish, or do you think there's any kind of, if the bass population is affected by like tournament fishing or something like that?
I personally haven't heard of that, but I've actually have heard the opposite, of where like river tournaments, actually incorporating, conservation aspects into their tournament that actually help the population of bass in the river. I haven't ever heard of it negatively impacting populations. There's also not a whole lot of river tournaments going on, especially, as compared to like reservoirs and lake tournaments. But, so that could be another reason, but yeah, if anything, I've seen the opposite effect, because those people that are out there doing river tournaments are usually very passionate about the fisheries in those habitats and want to do everything they can to sustain the populations and help.
Well, I think that's just about it. Thank you very much for your time and showing us the different features of this conservation boat. I really appreciate it.